Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Untitled. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about, well, just all things offensive in the whiskey world because that's what we do here. So it makes it fun. I don't actually know what the topic is today. It's going to range somewhere between education, I think something about cryptocurrency tokens. I don't really know what's going on, but we're going to have a good show. We've got another guest host today. It's going to be fun. So good luck. Good luck.
Boom. All right, welcome everybody.
Love it.
To another episode. Thanks for the topic, Walter. Appreciate it.
Am I the only one who's into crypto?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I thought about it, but I feel like it's just too late now.
I
agree. I agree.
Yeah, people said that a couple years ago, and then it's gonna be there. And
It's true. It's true. That is true.
You never know, right?
And then here we are. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you guys haven't noticed, we have a fourth with us today, Miss Tracie. How you doing?
Oh.
I'm good.
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much.
Look,
if you guys don't know who Tracie is, Tracie, do you mind introducing yourself to the public that does not know you?
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Tracie Franklin. I am known as Spirited Tracie on social media. I am a whiskey educator, and I am currently studying with the Nearest Jack Advancement Initiative to become a head distiller. So I'm part of the Leadership Acceleration Program. They are really working with 3 different prongs: business incubation, a school of distillation, and the leadership acceleration to increase diversity in the world of whiskey. And I'm really excited about it. This month, I've been working at Sagamore Spirits 3 days a week, doing my internship there. I'll be taking a few weeks off and then heading out to Jack Daniel's to take probably about a month of some fermentation courses and then hanging out. Hopefully, my goal is to hang out with just the ops team. Like, I want to put together a bunch of pipes and pumps and
that's so cool.
That'd be real cool. That's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And you're probably getting asked this a lot, but like, is it just you in the program? Is it multiple people?
There are 2 of us. So okay. I was first, and Byron Copeland, who is he was the head. I'm not exactly sure. He was like a manager at the Jack Daniel's Cooperage.
Okay.
So he wants to move over to the other side and kind of do more distillery sort of management. So he's working from that angle. Just got his MBA yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
Wow.
Go, Byron. So he and I are going through this program together, kind of creating the plane as we fly it.
That's kind of scary, but also kind of amazing.
Dangerous at all.
Not at all, right? Oh. It is a little frightening, only in that I hope that this program becomes something that's permanent and will create real tangible ways for more people to be able to access the whiskey community and jobs within the industry. And so I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah, well, you'd be fine. Your years of experience have helped you a lot.
You're going to succeed, so that's fine.
Or you'll create a legend. Think about it, because everyone will literally reference, like, remember that first lady who was here?
Right. Oh, she's
One thing to be talking about. One more pressure. That's awesome.
Yeah, that sounds real cool. Like, just in general, just being able to, learn and understand these parts of the business that sadly we don't get to see, but through your Instagram, we've been actually seeing behind the scenes of that, which is pretty cool. So
I try to share as much as possible. It's because it's such an incredible opportunity. I mean, I was already the national ambassador for Glenfiddich Scotch, which was a dream, right? Being able to go to Scotland 2-3 times a year to hang out at the distillery and drink these crazy whiskeys, and hang out with Brian Kinsman and everybody at the distillery. And now step away from that for something that honestly had no real borders around it. Like, you don't really know what's happening. It's just, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity to learn, and hopefully you'll end up in a great distillery and you'll be a distiller. And it's worth it. It was absolutely worth it. If for no other reason than I'm going to be able to study with people who I've idolized for years, and distilleries that I've been watching so closely and really, really respected. I'm going to get to be at their distilleries and learning. So I'm thrilled. Uh-oh. He wants to
What do you want to say, Walter?
I have room in my suitcase.
Do you have a distillery goal? Like, do you have, like, is there one distillery that you are looking at that you're like, I see you and I'm coming for you?
Well, honestly, there's a few, but it's part of the issue is trying to fit everything in. because I'm also trying to be a part of like some distilleries that are currently being built. So making sure I'm on hand and on site as things are happening, which is really important to get to know distilleries, but also being able to go to distilleries and just like be engulfed in their company culture and kind of their ways of working. So trying to figure out that schedule I think it's going to take some of the distilleries that I had planned off the table, but I'm definitely looking over at Westland, and Matt over there has been an incredibly open person. And he's like, anytime, come on, I'll take you up to the bread lab. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then St. George reached out on an Instagram thing, and I was like, hey, I might be heading over West Coast. Love to come see you guys. They were like, please, here's some contacts. I was like,
yes.
Yeah, and like out of the woodwork, people are just like, hey, if you want to go here, I know this person. If you want to, so there's a lot of them. I mean, right now, just because of that 3-chamber still, like if I could get out to Leopold, I mean, honestly, I just want to have. I'm going to put this out into the Uber, like into the universe.
Yep.
I would like to have a private call with Todd Leopold about that 3-chamber still. Yep. I would love that. Okay.
Man. Ooh. So like, do you feel as though the doors just opened up when you took that new role, or?
Well, I think that. So I don't think the doors were necessarily closed. I don't think this was something that you're able to pursue when you're in a job.
Okay.
Like, how can you do that when you work for a brand, right? So I work for Glenfiddich.
Yeah.
And it's not really. And while they were super open to us learning. Like, I would go visit distilleries. They want us trying other whiskeys and really understanding the category. It's a different thing to just take off a month and go stay at a distillery and just learn and post everything on your Instagram about this distillery and other whiskeys. And it's a much different experience to be, because I'm working currently for the Nearest and Jack Advancement Initiative, which is a charity.
Yeah.
So I don't work for Uncle Nearest. I don't work for Jack Daniels. While I do love both of them, as you can see behind me, and support them and what they're doing. I don't technically work for either brand, so I'm really open to kind of exploring and learning about all of whiskey, which is what I started out with. So when I was doing Whiskey, which is a whiskey marketing company, it was about exploring all whiskey, so that and creating avenues for every single kind of pathway, everyone's flavor points, everyone's storylines, like making sure everyone understood that there was a place for them within the whiskey industry. And now I'm getting to do that again and get reacquainted with all of those little nooks and crannies that are undiscovered. So I think it just wasn't really possible to really step into these opportunities until now. And I think also with the George Floyd protests and really people looking at the industry and looking at who's representing what parts of the population and understanding how we're not really a reflection of the population.
Yep.
People are looking to help in any way they can. And as a Black woman, saying I want to distill and I want to learn, like people are like, oh yeah, come on. Like if I can be a part of this story and be someone who helps you on your way, they want to be a part of that. So that's definitely also a blessing that I've been given.
It's good here. So I know we jumped into a bit more, but let's talk real quick about what we're drinking. So Walter, what's in your glass today, bud? What you got there, man? Balvenie, I can't see it. It's not clear enough for me.
It is the Balvenie 12 Sweet Taste of American Oak. So I'm actually doing like a very subtle and covert theme for this week's of pictures. So I'm just going to leave it.
I'm excited to figure it out.
So if you guys know what it is.
If you figure it out, you figured it out. If you didn't figure it out, you're not going to figure it out. So.
Make sure to message Walter on Instagram if you figured it out. And he'll tell you
figure it out. Monday was like the biggest. Huh?
Do we win a prize or something?
Should there be a prize? I'll think of something. Yeah, I could give away a sample or something.
All right, Bianca, what's in your glass?
Okay, so when I purchased this amazing Bernie glass from Ben Rhodes,
Ben in chat.
Yeah, he's there.
Love it.
He actually ended up sending me the sample because was it 400th or 4,000? I can't remember.
4,000.
But you won.
Yeah, no, like person who purchased glasses from him on Etsy or whatever. So he sent me this, but you can't really see the light. It's so bright. Isle of Jura sample 29 year, distilled in 1981 and bottled in 2020. So I'm really grateful for this because he knows that I'm a huge Jura fan and it's delicious. Yeah, I don't know enough about it. I haven't researched it, but if there's barely any peat in here. If there
Okay.
is, it's very good. So I want to research it a little bit. I just opened it now. I've had it for about 2-3 weeks. So I wanted to wait until we're on the show to
Aw.
drink this. So cheers, Ben. Thank you so much.
And Tracy,
for
what's
sharing
in
that.
your glass?
Yeah, so I have a lot of glasses. I have my tea.
There you go.
You're the she to my nanigans. If
Nice.
anybody knows my spirited shenanigans,
Indeed.
Yes.
this is Jenny Wren and Jennifer Fichet. Sorry, not Jenny Wren. I love Jenny Wren too. I have some bubbles, just cause.
Aw.
But for my whiskey, I reached around and I poured some Milliman Green. So I don't know if you
Okay.
guys know this. This is a Texas distillery.
Okay.
So Milliman Green. So Heather Green is she was a whiskey professional out of
Yeah.
New York who was one of the people who helped kickstart my career.
Oh, awesome.
She did one of my first whiskey classes that I attended and sat down with me afterwards when I wanted to continue to go over questions, and she was really supportive of whiskey and what we were trying to do, and just really has always been in my corner and supportive. So she is over there as their master blender, and and it's a straight rye whiskey finished in port casks.
Ooh.
It's delicious, actually. Yeah, Marlene Holmes is their distiller over there, and I'm hoping to go visit because my family lives in Texas, so I can just kind of make it a quick trip to see their
you go.
distillery and
Yeah.
also see family. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm drinking.
Do you think that whiskey's readily available, or is it more just Texas only?
No,
do you
they've
know?
actually. So you can actually order. I think they're shipping to like 35 states or something. So
Okay.
it's actually expanded quite dramatically since COVID. They got a really good deal.
That's awesome.
The last maybe 3-4 months, just before Christmas.
I think.
Are they on the Texas Whiskey Trail? I forget what it's
I
called.
don't know.
Texas
I don't
has
know.
their own.
Okay, I'm not sure because I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, for like, I guess a benefit of COVID is a lot more, companies now are reaching out and actually shipping stuff, so which is great. So hopefully
Yeah,
we'll be able to see
absolutely.
more of these smaller distilleries pop
Yep.
up and try unique things. So
Mhm.
for me, it's a Glenrothes Maker's Cut. Finished my little bottle sample. I have a bottle on the way. I was saving this
Nice.
for a while, but
Yum.
just a good everyday dram for me, really rich. So yeah, that's in my
Love
glass.
it. Yummy.
Alrighty. So I guess any new bottles that you guys purchased recently before we get into the topic?
I just got one in the mail this week, but I didn't actually buy one, so I
No.
could show it to you, but I'm not sure that everybody's gonna want to see it.
Actually, I'm trying to zoom in.
Yeah,
So
like
it's-
we can
I want to see
see
it.
It's Sagamore whiskey, Sagamore
Oh,
rye.
yeah.
That's actually finished in tequila.
Wait, but why is
Yeah.
it in that? Or did you...
I don't, because they sent it to me in this. I don't know.
That's
I don't make the rules.
interesting because like they have full bottles. Like,
Yeah, I know. And I even told the lady, we talked about it, and I was like, just send me a full bottle so that I can take pictures.
Do you
And I
want
ate
me to
this in the
get?
mail.
I'm there tomorrow.
No. Don't sweat it. I'm just
No, are
gonna
you
use
serious?
it.
Are you sure?
I'm dead serious. If I
Okay,
like it,
cool.
I'll go buy a bottle. If I don't like
Okay,
it,
because I'm like I'm there tomorrow. Like, yeah. Okay,
if I don't like it, another bottle on the shelf isn't gonna help me. So
that's true.
Fair
I
enough.
understand that completely.
yes.
It is very vegetal. There's a lot of green in there. I actually really enjoyed it. I think it's a really interesting.
I just want to know,
espresso.
is it actually Sagamore though, or is it
Yeah.
still
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
okay? Then that answers that.
Wink, wink. Gotcha. Fair enough, fair enough. Bianca, anything from you or nothing? No bottles
I
from you this week.
mean, so I haven't purchased anything. I mean, I purchased another. I don't want to talk about which bottle I purchased, but
enough.
recently. But I
Well, what?
received-
What?
Whoa!
You purchased another
What?
one. She doesn't want to talk about it.
She
What?
bought some Fireball
Or
and
she
she's
can't,
embarrassed.
or she can't.
Right?
Or... Oh, and she
Oh,
paused.
she's frozen.
Bianca,
Dun.
even I bought Screwball whiskey, and that stuff tastes amazing. I mean,
Aw, and she's
surprisingly
frozen.
good.
I would
I
change
didn't
it
like
for her.
it. It was just
but-
too sweet.
It's,
Is it?
so it's super sweet. It's for cocktails only. There's
Exactly. Yeah.
no one's gonna drink that any other
Or
kind
sugar.
of
Oh no,
way.
people do. People put that on the rocks.
Oh, it's obnoxious.
oh my
neat.
god, I'm back.
You're back.
I'm
You're back.
back.
Yeah.
Just my internet right now in Miami is very, very bad. So I got this bottle sent to me by Westward, which I thought was really great.
Nice.
Really, really
Yeah.
bad. So it's it comes with like this whole like kit and stuff.
I have to admit, their
Is this their
marketing their
charity
bottles
bottle
are nice.
or?
Oh, they sent you dirt too.
Yeah, it was. They sent me dirt. They sent me moss.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is their was a single malt whiskey, just single barrel collection. So they did it for women.
Yeah, the Whiskey
Yeah.
Day one.
Women Month or whatever. So I thought it was really good. It's Women of Westward. So I was supposed to be part of their I guess, meeting today, but I attended our live stream instead. Sorry.
Wow. Priorities, right?
Sorry, Westward. We love you.
I mean, to be fair, their whiskey is
It's delicious.
it's
Yeah.
so
They're doing
good.
a good job. They're
It's
doing a
so
great
good.
job. I was really surprised.
I'm hoping that
I mean,
you
I
visit
don't know
Tracie.
why.
Me too. I was really
But
surprised.
it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're surprised because there's so many
Especially-
small craft distilleries putting out not so good,
Good
whiskey.
stuff.
Right, but not so many of them are doing single malts, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I just yeah. What's that?
This one too. I received this one last week, which I really liked it. I tried it yesterday for the first time. It's kosher whiskey, DS Caveman. They're a bottler from Linkwood Distillery, 12-year. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I normally buy my whiskeys, Tracie. Don't.
Girl, I am not mad at you. Get your whiskey. Yes. Get your whiskey. Why would I be mad?
I feel so guilty. I'm like,
Why?
I'm
Don't be.
ashamed.
You're
I
gonna
get
take
sent
good
my
pictures.
whiskey.
You're gonna put some reviews on. You're gonna do your thing. That's what that
Girl,
is. But
I have
that's the thing.
I have not taken. I have so long. I've lost my mojo when it comes to posting stuff. So I'm trying to build it. I'm just not into it right now. I'm more into like doing this right now. I'll be honest with you.
I understand that. I've definitely been much more active within my stories. But actual posting, like I'm starting to kind of figure out how many days can I go without like feeling like I'm completely neglecting it. Versus seeing like Wally post every day, and I'm like, whatever.
Only 5 days a week.
Gross.
Only
Gross.
5 days a week.
Gross.
You're committed. You're
Listen,
committed.
as opposed to other
Girl.
people like literally Cody and Chat who post 7 days a week, like a lot of Instagrammers. I do Monday through Friday, weekends off. Leave me
Yeah,
alone.
but you make the photos every day too, man. The setups and
Yeah.
that's time.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're
no,
all
it takes.
perfect.
it takes-
They're all
no, they're not-
perfect.
Oh my gosh, they're not all.
They're
perfect.
gorgeous. Yes, they are.
It just
my
takes work. It's
God,
like
Wally.
anything else. Everybody's doing their own work. You guys are doing
Yeah.
your own work too.
True.
Calm down.
Take a
We're
compliment.
saying you're
Wally.
doing a great job, Wally. Wally,
Can't
come
take a
on.
compliment.
Yeah, fine,
Take
man.
a compliment.
Worst job
No.
ever. Worst lighting. Worst photos, man. I can't believe it. Come on.
Unfollow him. Unfollow him.
Unfollow me. I have Asian family. You don't give compliments.
Well,
That's
we're going to
weird.
continue to compliment you until one
Yeah.
day you're just like, okay, I'm going to accept
Okay.
I'm amazing.
Lies.
Hello.
because we love you.
All right.
But yeah, no,
Perfect.
What about
so the
you?
topic,
Good
right?
job, Wally.
Oh,
Everybody's drinking way too
Tracie,
much.
do you have any bottles that you want to share or you purchased recently or?
I purchased, I did a, gosh, I don't even remember the group, but they did a Black-owned sort of group. So,
Okay.
St. Liberty, Mary's 4-grain was a part of it.
Okay.
Majesty,
I like
which
that.
is in Atlanta, that's
Wait.
over there.
Can I see that? Okay, so this I got from Haiti. So that totally reminds me of a coffin.
Yeah.
Right?
Mine's shorter, I feel, and a little wider.
Oh, this
But
is
yeah,
a,
similar.
This is a bitters. So I don't know
Yeah.
if it's short.
Yeah.
Those are funny bottles.
And then Bro Brothers, which is out of Kentucky.
So are these black-owned
Nice.
distilleries or?
They are Black-owned distilleries, yes.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, so I
I've
was
never heard of these. Can you send us a list of these later?
Oh, there's so
Please.
many. Yes.
Are
But
there-
I can
are there
tell
that
you- So
many?
there's actually a website that had basically a grouping. So
Okay.
you could buy like I think it was 6 or 8 all black-owned brands that you could
That's
purchase.
awesome.
And I basically just did one little set just to see. I think so. I did
cool.
just the bourbons. I think they're all bourbons. Yes, I did a bourbon set. So that was 3 bourbons.
Awesome.
You just posted about a bunch of those in your stories, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just
No, I saw
picking
that.
beers, wines, and spirits that were black owned because people kept asking, and I was like, why am I not just posting? So I
Yeah.
started picking ones and posting and talking about people that were involved in those in those specific brands and what different offerings they had, and maybe some tasting notes that they had available on the internet, or just information so we can all just try, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just try and support a little bit more, just really giving our money. And again, it's more than just like, while I don't say conglomerates are bad, it's just it helps to support the small guy.
Yeah.
So your money goes a little bit further, and it's definitely appreciated every now and then when you can throw some money towards some of the smaller brands.
Because it takes a lot of time and effort to make something like this, and then yes, sometimes it does take time. How good are they? Have you tried some of these ones that are?
I actually haven't. They're still sealed.
Still.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll be able to
Those, yeah.
share your.
I could
notes and
open
see.
one right now, but I was going
No.
with like, because she's like one of my mentors. I thought It was
Heather,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
You do you. But no, it's great. Sadly, like I don't hear a lot about it, but I'm glad that there's someone like you that's voicing these distilleries and stuff like that as well.
Yes. Because there really aren't a lot that are large enough to garner attention besides Uncle Nearest. Like Uncle Nearest has garnered all of the awards for 2019 and 2020. So, exactly. And so I mean, not only how were they able to be very well funded, the CEO is an incredible marketing genius, and she also landed upon like the story of the century.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's like the perfect storm.
Yeah.
For sure.
So and the whiskey is good. So I mean, I'm okay with that. I can enjoy some little Uncle Nearest. I can make me a little old fashioned and chill out and be a happy bird.
Yeah, when I watched the video and hear the story about Uncle Nearest, I was definitely moved because I personally thought it was more like maybe it's a marketing play, just like other companies, and then really hearing her talk about it and then researching about it, I'm like, wow, this is totally different from what I thought. And then she actually used the money to help fund some of the kids that are, you know, I was just like, wow, okay, she's really pushing it.
So for people that don't know, Nathan Nearest Green was the enslaved man who taught Jack Daniels how to distill when he was a child. So Jack Daniels worked as a laborman at a farm, the Dan Call farm, when he was young, basically like from 7 till he was like 13. And he worked with Nathan Green, who was a slave there, and Nathan was in charge of the distillery. And 100% on his own, which is why he is called the master distiller, because Dan Call was a preacher, and his church basically said, we don't want you at the distillery. Like, you can't distill, that's evil. So that's why we know that Nathan Green was distilling on his own. And he taught Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels then took over the distillery and bought it from Dan Call after the Civil War. And the first person he hired was Nathan Green to be his master distiller. So this is a story that is really based in like this sharing of knowledge, this respect. And Nathan Green was one of the highest paid people, not just Black, but people in Lynchburg, Tennessee, while Jack Daniels was being created there. So it's a really interesting story. It is one that I'm really excited that they've been able to find, that they are able to, they used, I believe it was like more than 20 historians that really dug into the story to be able to really back up everything about it.
Yeah.
And to be a part of these companies that are now coming together to create this program to ensure that there are more people of color that are going to be in this American whiskey story, because right now we're digging up and re-acknowledging the actual impact of brown and Black hands on the whiskey industry and on that culture. And while we're doing that, we need to also acknowledge that we need to be a part of it moving forward.
Yeah.
So
agree. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So like, do you want to ask any questions, or you want to just let things free flow? How do you feel it?
I don't have any questions.
You don't? Man, I got some amazing questions for Tracie right now.
Go for it then.
Hey Tracie, so you did mention like Westland and stuff like that with American single malt, and I've been talking about it a lot. Do you think that's the future of whiskey in the U.S. is going to be American single malt, or do you think another bourbon boom? What's your take since you're into it?
I just think that the entire category is just going to become more diverse. I think we're going to start to see within the bourbon industry people splintering off and really focusing in on grain, focusing in on yeast. I think that we're just going to start to, as consumers become more knowledgeable, they're going to look for more of those special editions, those limited sort of selections, and they're going to start to look and find like who's doing what in process and start to really nerd out, I think, in really specific ways. Okay. I think single malt as a category will get its designation, I hope soon. And I think that it will continue to grow, but I don't necessarily think it's going to become surpass rye or surpass, like wheated bourbon. I think that it's just going to be another small growing part of the category. I don't think we'll ever supersede bourbon. I think that bourbon is the heart of America. I think that is something that is really very dear and very, very tied to our culture. But I think within bourbon, we're going to start to diversify in that we have so many people looking at flavor and ways to impact flavor that we're going to, like, within the category itself, it's just going to start to explode. And I hope that I'm going to be like somewhere in there helping with some research papers, because we've got some really, really great ideas. And not that these are ideas that haven't necessarily been done before, but when you have a lot of experiments that are being done in larger industries, so if a large company pays to do a research on casks or heirloom grain or things like that, they don't often release that to the public.
Okay.
So large distilleries have done a lot of research on casks and things like that, but we don't know it as the public because they're going to keep that internal because that could definitely benefit their competitors, right?
Okay.
So I think that we have another generation that's coming up, people like me and people that are now distilling, that we've been talking about. We have to really start opening up these lines of communication because it happens in the beer world, it happens in wine, it happens in Scotland, like it's happening all over the world in other industries. But for some reason here in America, we're so focused in on capitalism and like holding on to all of your research and all of your right, like to ensure that your neighbor like doesn't get any benefits. And I think that that's really doing a disservice to the industry. All boats rise as we really start to make the industry more efficient, and as we start to really explore some of these techniques and procedures and innovate. So we're really hoping that we can start to build a new network with maybe some of these smaller mid-range distilleries that are really open to each other and growing and learning from each other. So I think that's going to be that's what's going to change the industry.
Just sharing of knowledge is your focus.
Absolutely.
It's funny that you say that because some of the bigger brands, like I immediately thought when you said that was Buffalo Trace's experiment where they tried different parts of the tree and cutting it and using those to make different staves so they could see what the effects were on flavor. And then immediately afterwards, what did Woodford do? Woodford came out with their experiments where they were like, we tried these other experiments. And, and Buffalo Trace has always had the experimental collection where they've done like, I have a bottle of their rice because just why not?
Yeah.
And so like there will always be these bigger brands trying it. But I think you're right. I think even though not all of them can make like bottles that are going to hit the shelves like that, I think more of them will definitely get into like sharing that with everybody else. Hopefully,
I hope so. Yeah, I really, really do hope so. So in Scotland, they have the Scotch Whisky Research Institute. So everybody pays, all the big companies pay this one organization to do the research. And everything is public because they all pay. So all of the, whatever their findings are, goes to everyone. Exactly. We have nothing like that. So it's really something that I think that would benefit the industry, but also that's not how we were created, right? Yeah. That's just not how America really works. And I think that, again, I just think it's changing. I think that we are trying to create an industry that is sustainable in all ways, that is supportive and inclusive, and that is innovative and really focused in on bottom line of making the best product we can.
Awesome.
So.
Questions. Want to talk about what is inclusivity? What does that mean? A whiskey that is like industry. What does that mean to you? And why do you you've mentioned it a couple times during this, while we're joking, while we're talking, what does that mean to you and why is that important?
Yeah, so I came into the industry as a singer. So I was a singer and I needed something to drink, and whiskey ended up being the thing that I could drink and still sing. Okay. So I loved it.
Wait a minute. Tracie, you mean you're even more talented than I even knew you were?
Wait, did you not know this?
I didn't know she sang. How did I know she sang?
Like on Broadway?
Jesus. Yeah. All right, sorry. Okay.
So that happened. So I was, so once I realized, okay, this is something I enjoy. I was in New York, so I would go to auditions, I'd bartend. So I had these two kind of worlds, but it started to come together in that I was able to work as a sampler basically and get paid, which was like, oh, cool. I get to like taste whiskey and talk to people about whiskey and get paid for it. And I don't have to stay at a reception till like 4 a.m. Really? So that started to kind of supersede, kind of intercede into my life. And it was much easier for me to do the sampling and then go on audition because I didn't stay up till 4 a.m. And then people started realizing, oh, you're actually really good at this and you actually care. And so then they started sending me for different opportunities to kind of learn about whiskey. And I always kept coming up against this wall that was the other people drinking whiskey. It wasn't the makers, it wasn't the representatives, it wasn't the salespeople. It was the other whiskey drinkers who were just like, who are you and why are you here? And
I can relate.
And it just rubbed me. I mean, and this is like 15 years ago, and it just oh God, I'm old. So it just rubbed me the wrong way and made me feel really uncomfortable and made me want to fight against that because I was very quickly moving up in the industry because I was well spoken. I was an actress, so I could turn it on and like get a crowd and I cared. I wanted to learn the science. I wanted to understand what I was talking about. And so I was really excited when people were like, well, we want you to kind of lead things. And so Jennifer Wren, who currently works for Jura, She and I created a company called Whiskey, which was like a whiskey marketing company. And we just said we didn't care who you were, if whether you were in a kilt and heels or both, like you deserve to be in the whiskey world. So So we were kind of discovered because of that. We were throwing whiskey events and parties that were just felt more relaxed. They felt open. It was creating an environment where you could ask questions, where you could, just like really feel comfortable. There was nothing snooty about it. It wasn't about you being a certain type of person in a certain class or anything like that. It was just like, this is just whiskey. It's not a big deal. Let's break it down. And like, now you can leave and go order whiskey. Like our goal was every time someone came to an event of ours, they would leave feeling more empowered to leave and order a whiskey, to go ask for a whiskey. But you had to leave empowered. We weren't about just bringing people in to just chit chat. That was dumb. You weren't there to just have a cocktail. No, you were there to learn so that you then had a superpower that you knew about whiskey. And so that was really like kind of our biggest thing. And we had a blog where we had a bunch of writers who really spoke from the women's perspective. We had a really wonderful guy who also did his. But so for me, that became my like kind of focus. No matter where I was, no matter what brand I worked on, I wanted to ensure that whatever I was doing, whenever I was creating an event, I wanted it to feel welcoming because I was on the other side. Because there were times when I didn't feel welcome. There were times when I was throwing an event and didn't feel welcome. There were times when I was throwing an event and was belittled in front of the room.
Was that
there
normal?
Were times
back then, like was that normal? Like you feeling like this is like the worst experience I've had, kind of thing, like before all this stuff.
I mean, it was very. So I am. It's funny because lately I've been trying to figure out the problem with me, not the problem with me. One of my talents is that I am a chameleon. So I will walk into a room that is very aggressive, very violent towards me, that is I am very good at getting people on my side. I'm very good at turning and charming and doing the things that I need to do to ensure that people are no longer feeling that.
Okay.
However, it doesn't change their mind towards other people necessarily, just me, right? So they're like, oh, but you're cool, right? But the next black person that comes behind me is still gonna get that same vitriol.
Okay.
So like a long-lasting impact, and that's educate them.
Exactly. So while I still hope that because I am approaching the situations with passion, with knowledge, with kindness, that they are being softened for more than just me. I'm really, really hoping that that's what happens. But I worry that because I have for so long been kind of kowtowing to some of the things and the views and comments and things that are said, that I've instead kind of enabled people. Okay. You know what I mean? I worry about that. But I can say that it's something I'm quite aware of. And I think that this whole year is really an opportunity for all of us to look at what patterns, what systems we've bought into and maybe have assisted. For me, I think I have assisted a bit sometimes this system, and that I still allowed them to feel like they were the king of the castle and like they were the ones that belong, and like I made them feel, versus being like, no, I'm like this, I belong, not just because I know about whiskey, but because I'm here, period. Like you should not question, period. Instead, I always fight the battle to make people like me, right? I have to prove that I'm worthy. Like I am giving in to those respectability politics. Oh no, but you should like me because I went to this school, because I did these things, because I talk well, because I have this knowledge, blah, 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 right? So I'm buying into this, like, so of course I then belong because I did all of these things, but no one should have to go through that. So that's something that I'm having in terms of, it's something that I'm fighting against. It's hard for me though, because I do have all this knowledge, right? So I thought I had to. So I got the knowledge, I got the like I did all these things because I wanted to ensure nobody could question me. I belong. But I also now I'm looking at people coming up behind me, and I don't want them to have to fight so hard because other people don't. right? Like not everyone has had to fight as hard as I've had to fight to be where I am.
Yeah.
And that's not, don't feel sorry for me in any way. Like I'm fine, but I just don't want other people, like I don't want other people to have that. I just am really abashed. Like I want to change this industry. I want
guess
to
that's
change.
the goal, right? Like just making sure like you're human, you're there, just everyone's an even keel and not have to work up this ladder that some person didn't have to go up the ladder to.
Right.
So
because it's a ladder that is created in people's minds, right? Like it's not a real ladder.
Yeah.
Like everyone belongs. Like, but we've all created these hierarchies in our heads and said, oh, unless you've done this, you're not worthy of this.
Yeah.
Who made that up? Who told you that?
Someone's
right?
mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just buy in. So let's stop buying into that. I stopped buying in. I stopped.
So my second question is almost like an extension of this comment right there.
Oh.
So I'm gonna be honest. I have definitely, as you know, very much admired you, and I've always been very aware of what you post, especially share. Although we don't have that like friendship where we're calling each other, whatever. But I very much admire the interaction we've had, and I've noticed, and I'm gonna be honest, I've noticed a shift in your interactions, the content you're sharing a lot, and I think it's shifted. And I want to understand, and I think I know, especially what you're talking about. This year, you have blossomed very differently than the past years that I've known you. What was the catalyst from that made you decide to make this shift into where you are right now? And can you share some of the different emotions that you felt and different, maybe even milestones, positive, negatives that you felt in the past few months, because I think that it's really truly been, you can tell that you have grown in this year alone. I mean, what you've done and everything. So I would love to learn a little bit more, if you can be a little bit personal with us.
Yeah. So, okay. So last thing I did was I hosted. Uh-oh, you okay?
Nope, I'm good.
I hosted an event at Jack Rose for my last event. It was a charity event. I think it was for it was for a kids charity. I don't remember, but right after that, everything shut down. So I was at home. I was trying to earn money for bartenders. Right. I held my birthday online. I fought to become national ambassador for Glenfiddich because I really wanted to lead a team. Like I wanted to show that Glenfiddich could be new. We could be innovative. We could be connected to the culture. We could really be like, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of update Glenfiddich a little bit and make it feel more open. I don't know. But I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to kind of change the way we were approaching things online. I just really wanted to be more connected to people personally, to the struggles of people. And then I did a podcast for the distillery Du Nord Distillery in Minneapolis and met Fawn Weaver. And Fawn Weaver was like, I'm opening a school of distillation. And I was like, So I sent her a text message and I was like, what is this school? And she's like, why are you curious? And I said, because I literally read out the alcohol textbook for fun. I love distillation. I worked with Dave Pickerel. It was first when he opened up Whistle Pig, I went out with him while he was first opening that up. I worked at a micro distillery in Florida. I did all these things. I really love distillation. And she's like, well, what would you do if you could do anything, if you could get to I was like, I'd love to be a distiller. I would love to be on the process side. I don't think there's anyone with my palate that's making whiskey. No one has my story that's making whiskey. We need to start really diversifying the other side, the process side. And then she's like, send me your resume. And so that's how I got into this program. And what's been wonderful about this program is, and incredibly frustrating, is that there is nothing. We don't know what we're doing. We are building off of what I have, right? Because we're all different, right? Yeah. So I want to go for head distiller. So we kind of know what I need to do for head distiller, but also I'm bringing this knowledge that I already have. So it's like, okay, what do you have in your little basket? And what do I need to put in there to make sure I have everything I need to then step into this role? So then we're like, okay, no, how do I get that knowledge? Okay, cool. I can go to distilleries. I can study from all my certificates, my OSHA, my forklift, my stuff online. I can get my diploma, which is what I'm studying right now, my diploma in distillation from IBD. I can do all these things. but we're just kind of making it up as we go along.
Gotcha.
What's also happening is Fawn is just saying, yeah, I trust you. Yeah, send me stuff. Show me what you're doing. Cool. Here's a couple mentors. They're already in the industry. They're gonna follow you. I'll text message. We'll talk. You're doing great. Like, this is all I get from Fawn. And I'm like, Fawn, I'm dying. She's like, you're great. What's wrong? You're great. And what's funny is that I am great. I am great. I am figuring out how to walk into my room. I'm figuring out how to just live and how to settle into who I am without somebody telling me what I should be. Yeah. Because for so long, being in a category that is ruled by tradition, by history, by just hundreds of years, of this antiquity, I wanted to ensure that I lived up to it, that I was worthy of and being a representative of it, that I was, that I knew enough about it, that I had the right tasting level, that I wanted to make sure I was good. And by her kind of stepping back, giving me this leash, because she's there, this woman knows what she's doing. And
You're the leader.
But she's making me lead. She's making me create programming. She's making me take charge of my time.
That's awesome.
Making me figure out what is important to me. And she's like, I want you to lead, to build a position and a role that's going to suit everything about you, that is going to strengthen you and change the world, because you have this ability to be able to change. So figure out how and do it. She's like, I can't make you do that. And so she's really given me the freedom to step into who I should be, who I actually am, taking off some of these layers of luxury, right? I remember, I'm sure Wally, I'm sure I told you, I was worried. I'm like, I'm not luxury. I'm not, and I was so worried that I'm on Glenfiddich and I'm not luxury. I'm just this chick who loves whiskey, and I was always fighting
luxury. Oh my God, this is how you carry yourself, the way your aura. What? Sorry for interrupting you. We're going to circle back into that after you're finished, because I'm going to tell you a funny story.
That has been a struggle for me. And now it is more of waking up every day and knowing what gets me, why I'm getting out of bed, and knowing that I'm setting a path and creating a path for people to be able to join this industry, that I am inspiring people to learn more about whiskey on my story. I am breaking down the mystery around whiskey and making it approachable. I am, creating conversations with people who just are just curious. I enjoy being accessible, as well as I am trying to pull a little bit of my personal life out of my Instagram, which you may have noticed a little bit too. This weekend, I literally just had a snap and I was like, nope, done. I went to Pennsylvania. I hung out with my uncle and we ate and did weird stuff, and I didn't post, and I just was I just needed to stop. I needed to.
Great.
And I felt great. So, and I'm not gonna, and it's funny because then I came back and I was like, yeah, it's been a little quiet here. It's a quiz. And somebody said, don't apologize. And I was like, I didn't apologize. There was no apology there.
Yeah.
It was just quiet.
I just said it was quiet. Yeah. I went away. Here's a quiz. So I thought it was funny that they took that as an apology. I was like, I wasn't.
No, they're reading into it. No.
But that's okay. But I just found that very interesting, because I normally would apologize. You guys know me. I'm sorry all the time about anything that just pops out of my mouth. I'm sorry. And also I'm working on that. I'm working on really just trying to show up authentically. I'm trying to honor the struggles, the pain of the ancestors, and by enjoying and appreciating all that I have, by lifting up all and everyone and everything around me, by ensuring that I am living in that light and sharing that light as much as I can. It's good. I'm on a journey, but it's been a really good year.
That's good to hear.
I'm really happy. No, I mean, you can see this. You can see you blossom. You see your attitude. I mean, I feel like you're always confident, but you have a different level of self-assurance, type of confidence. Like now, like while speaking with us before we started live, you're just like, I'm here. This is me. You know, I'm gonna own this space. I absolutely love it in a very, not in a rude way, which is, super important. We said kind, and very, very approachable as well. And I just wanted to say about the luxury thing. First of all, I always think that you look stunning, and I always told you this in person, but and I'm not here to I'm not trying to build up your ego or anything. I'm being honest. Literally, the last quote unquote date that I can think of and recall that I have ever sweated as much as I've ever done in my life was when we first met in person for lunch. I was like, oh my God, like she is, she has, the courage, the charisma, the knowledge, the ability to speak, everything I want. And I look forward to become that whiskey person in the sense of not just whiskey person, just woman, especially in the whiskey industry. And just, I look up to that so much. I literally was so nervous, and I think you were so glamorous. So I'm like, first of all, like, come on now. To me, you were like the epitome of luxury when I saw you walk in. I'm like, oh. So the fact that you're saying that, you don't have to be like luxury, like what you think, like Gucci or like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just about luxury from within. I think it's about what you carry, so how you value yourself. That's luxury.
Well, thank you.
It's that confidence and that knowledge that you have. I think that's why I guess a lot of people get attracted to you when it comes to that. Like I personally, like I've never met you, but like just looking through your feed.
That light in your eyes. For sure.
So looking through my feed, what did you find?
Oh no, just like the knowledge there. It's just like, Wally talks about you all the time about how like people like you just, you're so knowledgeable and you just want to share stuff all the time. And I think that's great because like you said, a lot of people are hesitant to order whiskey because they don't want to order the wrong thing, right? Even though like whatever whiskey you want to drink is what you enjoy. But I do still feel as though that some people like, I don't know, should I put ice in there? Should I? Like whatever you enjoy. And I think that people like you just like, hey, here's a knowledge base, like you mentioned before with your other stuff. It just, hey, this is how you order whiskey, or this is how you should be talking about it, or here's the education behind it. And I think that's why so many people are drawn to your story, especially with what you're doing right now. It's just like, oh, I never knew about, like you're going through Sagamore right now and all that kind of stuff. Or like, oh, the distillation process or fermentation. Cool. It's just like, for me, I'm like, I've been there before, but like other people haven't, and they're learning from someone like you, which is great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Man, Wall, you're really quiet today, bro.
I know. It's because.
What would you like me to say?
The good question.
I haven't had that quiet before, man. I was like, oh, okay, you all right?
There's a lot going on. That's all. I'm just listening. Sometimes you just gotta soak it in. Give me a break.
Agree.
What does your shirt say?
Drink whiskey, pet dogs.
Oh, I like that.
Same.
But, Tracie, this is gonna be a different question, I guess. Hopefully, you've never heard this one before. But what's the one question you want people to ask you when it comes to these kind of things? 'Cause I bet you've been on the tours, you've been on the podcasts. What do you wish that people actually talk to you about that you really want to share?
Good question. What do I want to share?
Good question.
I don't know. That's a good question. Yes, Wally.
Whiskey?
Ask whiskey. Ask whiskey.
Just because, like,
no, I mean, like you want to share whiskey, right?
Right, but I tend to do that. So I was like, is there a specific question? Like, is there something about whiskey that like I'm more passionate about? Actually, I love talking about like how to taste whiskey. That's one of my favorite things, is really breaking down how to taste whiskey. And it's funny because like sometimes I'll teach these classes and I spend like 20 minutes on the teaching like how to drink it, because you have to talk about how to nose it, how to taste it, then what happens chemically with water, what happens chemically with ice, what happens chemically with heat, like what's actually happening in your orthonasal versus retronasal, and how you can like. So I kind of get a little intense when we talk about how to smell and taste whiskey, and I enjoy that.
I want to go in depth like that. Like I think this needs to be another session.
Well, I was thinking something. It just popped in my head because I really want to earn money for charity. So I'm thinking I want to do like a class, which it probably will be just like a 101, but that you have to donate like $25 or $30 to charity. and then
$100.
you have to go to a class. But I'm not going to give them whiskey though. I'm not providing whiskey.
Most
So
people.
that's where I feel like
I think most people
No,
that want that
it's
class
still-
have the whiskey.
Your knowledge
So-
is invaluable. So like, no, yeah. I'm with Wally.
yeah,
it'd be
$100.
Yeah, $100 buy your own whiskey.
It'd be $25 if it's like a group of people, but like one-on-one, like
No,
that-
I was saying it would be a group.
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying
so a big
$100 if
group.
it's a group. One-on-one
Okay.
is like $1,000.
Ooh, damn.
I see
Damn,
that.
Wally, can you be my new agent?
There you go.
No, I'm just saying-
Yes.
I'm gonna call you after this. There's an email I need to respond
I'm just
to.
saying. I'm just saying you got to be reasonable about these things. Like your time and resources are super valuable.
Yeah.
It's important to make sure you price
Yeah,
yourself correctly.
and your knowledge.
And, like,
your knowledge.
The knowledge
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I
So
do have-
was,
Super important.
yeah, so I'm thinking of doing that. I'm thinking of teaching
Okay.
of creating a class where we all get on. Like I'll send out a Zoom link and we'll all and I'll just be like, download. Like here's the
Yeah.
deets. I think
Yeah.
it could be fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be
That's
on
amazing.
there. I'll be paying not $1,000, but I'll be paying.
No, I would not do that. That's a lot.
$100 in a heartbeat.
I can afford it.
$100 easy, yeah.
I would do it
$100
for
in a
sure,
heartbeat.
For sure.
Really? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
for sure.
And it's for charity. Like it's
Yeah.
you
Yeah, that
donate,
makes it
you're gonna
even
get your money
easier.
back. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you get 30%
Taxes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I know.
And then most people
do
have
have-
the whiskey too, so yeah.
I have two questions. One, I know that we want to respect your time as much as possible, and I know what it
Thank
is to get
you.
up early in the morning, and I know that we are
Yeah.
running way over. So
Yeah.
I do not like getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I can't imagine being somewhere at 5. That sounds horrible. So two, the only question I really have, and this is really weird. I've been thinking about it a lot, but do you think that things like the TTB, the BATFE, anything related to alcohol, pretty much the amount of licensing that you have to actually distill legally, do you think that that is a deterrent for most people to get into the distillation portion?
So it's even even before. So if we go back to just this, so like the labor laws that were created after slavery, where Black people were not allowed to like own specific businesses. They couldn't own a distillery, like a still. There were things that they couldn't own. They weren't able to create this generational wealth, right? So we have been cut out of this industry for a very long time. And licensing became just another thing that they threw on top of everything, like anything that they could put on. So licensing became a barrier to entry. And now that it's so dramatic, like barrier to entry, in that you have to have a space, for months that you're just paying rent on before you can even apply for approval. You have to have your equipment. You have to have like serial numbers for your equipment before you can, like, there's so much money that you have to put in before you even get approval to get your license, that it's very, very difficult for people to actually own, for people of color or people without means,
Or just
access
people
to
without $500,000.
large, people without access to like a lot of funding to be able to start these distilleries. It was a little bit better maybe 10, 15 years ago, only because you weren't fighting with, 100 other small distilleries. Like you were the only one for, 500 miles. So you were going to actually then get all that business. But now there's a craft distillery that's opening up on every other corner. So you're now fighting with each other. So you have to have more money to be able to stay in business. And this is something that has been generational. Like this isn't just from the TTB's regulations, but yes, even currently, they are a very high bar for people that want to create, which is why so many people are sourcing whiskey. And a lot of people are just like, oh, you're sourced. But it's because that's the cheapest way to do it.
Yeah.
Like it is so much cheaper to source whiskey, blend it, finish it, whatever you need to do. You could do that for $50,000 versus $500,000 to start. And $500,000 is honestly not enough to start. It's like, that's not even close.
I
So,
mean, I know a tiny one that started with
Yeah.
$500,000, and I was like, dang, there's nothing. This place is bare bones.
Yeah. That's and if something goes wrong, they might not have enough money to do anything. Like that's what you have to have a cushion, especially now. So I think that one of the things that I'm really glad that Nearest and Jack have done is to create that business incubation sort of program. Also, Uncle Nearest itself is also helping different Black-owned brands internally. They're helping them with their marketing, helping them with their distribution and things like that. Because there were so many different brands that came out after the Nearest and Jack business incubation program got announced. They were flooded with all of these applicants and people that wanted help, that they just couldn't help them all. So Uncle Nearest actually took some on their own. And so really, really proud of them and what they're doing with that. But I think that it's just hard. It's hard for all small distilleries. And that's why I wanted to support and buy some of these smaller brands, that I have and that are not open. Majesty
But
is
you
open.
will
It's-
open them.
Of course, absolutely. But I want to get like take pictures and do all the
Of course.
Instagram stuff with them.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that we will start to really look at what we've at the TTB, at the regulations that we've put in place, really consider how those barriers to entry are keeping this industry from diversifying, and how maybe some of these larger corporations can start to help change some of those rules, some of those laws, or help to reach back to some of those smaller distilleries and help them with their marketing plans or their programming, their distribution, whatever it may be. I think that we're going to need some of the larger corporations to step in to really help.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course.
And on that note, we want to respect your time. I would love to spend another hour with you, but it is what it is. Maybe next time.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope that I didn't just like talk through your entire. I feel like it was just me.
No, that's perfectly fine. I'm just surprised why it was that quiet, but yeah, no, it's great.
I asked a question.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I've seen Wally this quiet. I've never heard Wally this quiet. Yeah, this is great. Well, Tracie, we need to have you on more often.
Yes, that's.
Okay, just one final comment.
Of course.
Do you think that Wally is incorrect in not liking Pete? But that's actually a really general question because I know it's about his palate. But he
exactly.
hates it.
You know what's coming.
Yeah, he thinks that we're all villains for liking Pete. So are we villains for enjoying Pete?
Well, so I think one of the things which I find it's interesting because your palate is Korean, yeah, right? Like you grew up eating like Korean style, right?
Yeah.
But when I came to your house, there was a lot of Korean food and smells. So like that's on your palate.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've kind of found though, especially with women, so I don't know if maybe that's it, but women who tend to come from backgrounds with very flavorful food have tended to also really enjoy peated whiskeys. And I'm not sure how those align, but it's become much more common as I talk to people that if you come from a background where your food tends to be fairly flavorful, so like Indian food or maybe like for me it's southern sort of like, but that's why I'm like you're the outlier on that. That's why I was like I don't know why.
There's always exceptions.
There are always exceptions to the rule. But again, yes, I do understand the aversion to peat. I do, and I understand in that I know what tastes bad about it, or what could taste bad, like what is an affront to palates. But for me, I find that interesting. Like but I've always sought the extreme in flavor, right? Like I've traveled the world and wanted to sit and eat guinea pig because I wanted to eat weird like organs and like I just want to try things because why
different.
Not? Like this is a flavor. It's different. Let's have that. Rattlesnake and that. Let me do a shot. So so this was just another way for me to really push my palate and explore flavor that Band-Aids don't really taste good, but this is kind of good. It's kind of gross. It's kind of good. It's kind of gross. And I like that.
Tastes so weird, right? Yeah.
I just had to ask. I had to ask. I'm Team Pete, and I like to bug Wally on it. So I was very happy to have another.
Absolutely, Pete head. Ardbeg 10 was my gateway whiskey. Yeah.
Me too. So good.
Yep. Ardbeg 10 won me over.
Sweet for a second, vomit for the rest.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry, I just have to go to bed. I'll be up at Sagamore early in the morning. Oh, actually, it's on my phone. I stole that when I was on the bottling line.
Nice.
They won't miss it.
Are we gonna do the deuces?
Deuces, guys.
Yeah, you know what we do at
All
the
right.
end of the show.
Deuces.